It's another beautiful Sunday morning. The sun is saying, can you come out to play? Hey, hey. Should have saw it coming, should have caught the warning. But
Hey, it is me, Wanda B, and you are here at IntellectualRadio.com on the He Said, She Said show. And I'm so happy to have some new people here. You know, you always have my right-hand man to my left and y'all too.
Hey.
And Wanda, who's part of the He Said, She Said team.
Hello, everybody.
And then we got Wiley, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi in the building.
Who's also a member of our He Said, She Said group on Facebook. So please join our group. It's also called He Said, She Said. We talk about some of the same things that we talk about here today in our group on a daily basis, and we have a good time. We fight, we argue, and then we love each other afterwards.
Absolutely.
So one big happy family. And so today we doing something different, and it's going to be new, and it's every week. We're going to be from 2 to 4 o'clock. We were 1 hour. We usually trying to squash everything into 1 hour, but my girl sister's Heart, who's usually at 3 o'clock, has moved to 11 a.m. I love her show, very uplifting, powerful. She started my morning listening to her, so she's at 11 a.m. now, so listen to Sister's Heart. And now we're going to be on from 2 to 4, so excitement, yay, something new for He Said, She Said. And I want to mention one of our sponsors. We have Made You Look Mobile Car Wash, and in our busy schedules, often there's very little time to get your car washed and to clean and care for one of the biggest investments you have in your life, your vehicle. So what they do is they come to your home, they'll come to your office, they'll come to your place of work. What's even nice is they will do it while you wait. I mean, they can come out here, wash my car, I can come out, my car is washed inside and outside. So very nice, affordable, professional, dependable service. They supply the water, so they do. So wherever else you like, they'll come. So give them a call. Make your appointment today at 708-674-4609. They can also be found on the web at madeyoulookmobile.com. So check out Made You Look. And we're going to have some more guests coming in throughout these 2 hours. So we're going to take some breaks and bring them all in. But right now, we'll get started on our topic. What we're going to talk about today is child support and co-parenting. So I put it up in the group. Like I said, we have the group He Said, She Said, and you guys can always chime in on Facebook. Let us know. Join this conversation. If you have a story about child support you'd like us to know, make it short and brief for us, and tell us what you think on this topic. Please join in. You can also call in at 708-223-8953, 708-223-8953. Tell us your stories, how it works for you, how it doesn't work for you. Also about co-parenting and the relationship between your child, the parents, the other parent, and yourself, and maybe step parents, or everything that is involved in that. We're going to try to delve into today on the topic of child support and co-parenting. So I'll tell you how this came up for me. Talking to someone about their child support situation, and found what I didn't know is that you have to pay fees to have your employer take the child support out of your check. And I thought, oh, you have to pay the fees yourself. And then I said, well, wouldn't it be fair for the person who's receiving the money to pay the fees? And then, of course, this became a debate. And then another person I talked to this week was also talking about how they pay X amount of child support, but the mother won't let them see the child. And so that became a bone of contention with this person, and we're debating this. So this week I've had so many issues come up with this topic that I thought it'd be something good for us to talk about and see maybe at the end, could we come up with some resolutions and help people through their situations when they deal with child support and co-parenting. So again, chime in on Facebook, let us know what you think, and we're going to go on this topic. So why are you laughing? I
have a lot of experience. I have a lot of courtroom experience in this area. This is a touchy subject. But a lot of people have to deal with it, co-parenting, child support, dealing with the courts. Me, myself, I definitely have to pay child support. It is through the courts, and you have to pay the county a fee as well for delivering for mailing the child support. So yeah, I work for myself, but I have to pay my accountant to take the money out and then send a check to the county, and then the county charges me another fee to send the check to my son's mom. And so I'm all for paying child support. You know, both people are adults. You chose the person you had a child with. That child needs support even when they're not living with you. So, you know, financing my son is definitely something I don't have a problem with. But I have found that the courts enforce child support a lot quicker and a lot more strongly than they do visitation. So my son's mother go to court one time to be able to get awarded child support. I had to go to court for 5 years to be able to actually see my son. I've never not paid my child support, but what I've learned is when you don't, they will suspend your license. They won't hesitate to put you in jail too. But if the mom doesn't let you see the child, they say don't do that anymore. So it's definitely a big gap in how they treat one as opposed to the other. So
why do you think that is, though? That doesn't seem fair, in my opinion. But why do you think that is?
I don't know, because in my experience, I was I'm passionate about my son. I was like maybe feeling like it was racial, but that law is across the board. It has nothing to do with black, white, or Spanish or anything like that. Women automatically have their rights, and we have to go to court to get our rights. But I think the problem stems from the original problem was men weren't supporting the child, that they were walking away and they weren't paying. And so all the beginning legislation in that area was geared toward protecting the child, assisting the mother, and making sure that the father didn't just walk away from his responsibilities. And unfortunately, there hasn't been a big enough movement to follow that to protect fathers' rights. You know, there is a lawyer out there, I don't want to advertise anybody, but there's an attorney out there who promotes fathers' rights and did pass some legislation, but the judges are still in that old regime and still used to it being the way it was. And so that's not enforced very often unless you have a great lawyer.
Through a divorce, or was it?
No, I was never married.
Okay, so because I know it's a difference if you get it through a divorce, if it's in your divorce, rather than you going through the SDU. Right. So it
what makes it different?
So my child support came to me 2 different ways. My first child, I wasn't married to his father, and I think he had to do all the fees, but my second child, I acquired the child support through the divorce. I don't think he has all those fees to pay.
Okay.
So I think it's a difference.
Oh, there's a difference on
there's
why.
A difference on
so
how,
there's no fees
on how. So
through a divorce, because you're both paying into that when you pay your attorney's fees or no.
Not the attorney's fees.
Some people pay child support voluntarily, and the court's not involved at all. They send the money to the mom, and they're cool, and so there are no fees. It's only fees if the state and the county and the city got involved. And so in my situation, they got involved.
And see, I ended up having to get the state involved because my ex-husband stopped paying. So now I have to go to the SDU.
What is SDU? Excuse me.
Oh my God! Let me caught me off guard. State disbursement unit.
State disbursement.
Yeah.
So familiar with those people.
So they solely work on having the monies come from one person to the next,
from the employer
to
the mother
or father.
It's considered garnishment. It's like they're taking. I mean, you know about it, whatever, but they call it garnishment, like they're taking it out of your check.
Yeah, so I had to go a different route once he stopped paying. Yes.
So with it sounds so complicated, and as you were talking with the visitation, that you can fight 5 years, they can get the child support. And please, I'm not taking one side or another. I know I may get some inboxes on this. I'm not saying that I know there are people who rightfully should be paying who don't pay, and I totally understand that. So we're trying to come off, hopefully our best to come off in a fair way, and everybody's situation is different. And I know someone will say, well, not in my situation, it wasn't like that. I know everybody has extenuating situations that will make everything we say not actually be valid in your situation, because situations can vary so much.
Right.
Yes.
I am divorced, and in mine, we didn't go through the courts to have the child support paid.
That's a blessing.
Because that was our agreement.
Stay out of court if you can.
Right.
And so I'm not really familiar with how the child support with the government involved works, because we don't use the government involvement. We didn't choose to go that route. We were both in agreement of what would be done.
And we were in agreement, but we had
until
it
he didn't
into
do it
the
anymore.
divorce until he didn't do it.
So yeah, what I spoke on was just the law and how the courts deal with it. That's not or anything like that. Neither one of us can control it, have any authority over a judge and how they enforce the law. And so hopefully that didn't come off biased. But it seemed like the times that I would go into court, it would be all the guys who were fighting to see their father were scheduled. Their child were on the same day. And I noticed that a lot of them were going through the same problems. And, it's unfortunate, but I'm not upset with anybody. Hurt people. And so a lot of times, the only way a person feels like they can get that other person back is through the child. And a lot of times, it's hard to see the situation clearly. We're upset. We're passionate about our child. Maybe the father isn't as active as the mom wants them to be, and they feel some type of way about that, and they feel like this is the only recourse. On the flip side, men can be, upset about the decision they made as far as their child's mother, and it can become ugly. And so hopefully through this conversation, not only can we enlighten people, but hope we can bring some healing to the situation, some guidance and direction to the situation as well, because I went to court without an attorney for years. I didn't even have the money to give an attorney like that to go to war to be trying to get my son back, but I didn't have the heart to not be trying to do something. So I went myself, and I taught a few other guys how to be able to do that same thing themselves. It maybe take a little longer, but it's less expensive going that route. But you can file yourself a visitation and push that agenda yourself, and it doesn't have to cost a ton of money.
Okay. You know what? We have some of our other hosts today. We got a full house today. I love it. Lots of he's and lots of she's on this topic today. So I'm going to take a quick commercial break, bring in our other guests, and we'll be back to talk about the topic of co-parenting on He Said, She Said with Wanda be on IntellectualRadio.com.
Got drafty glass block windows? Allman can solve your problem, replacing your old jealousy and metal windows with new thermal-pane vent windows for glass block. Call today, save 13%, and be warm. Allman Home Improvement. Call today for an appointment, 773-239-1829, or visit us at allmaninc.com.
It's another beautiful Sunday morning. The sun is saying, can you come out to play? Hey, hey. Should have saw it coming, should have caught the warning. But I took a taste. Like candy rain, running rivers through the summer snow. You keep me satisfied. I can't complain, I wouldn't know where to start now. It's good inside. Hot apple pie. I'm your ice cream, let me melt for you. You're the sweetest thing to dip in my fondue. Have a spoon or two. It might sound strange, but I can never seem to call your name. You fill me up. I go insane with sweet thoughts of you dancing in my brain. I can never get enough. Oh yeah, hot apple pie. I'm your ice cream.
You've been listening to the sounds of Babs Savage. hot apple pie. She's going to be here in August. Going to have a great concert. I'm excited about it. She has a great lineup with her coming up in August. So watch out for the sounds of Bab Savage. And we have been talking about co-parenting and as well as child support. And there's so many, because everybody's situation is so different. I've never heard two stories alike when we talk about child support. And I have some more people from my team and also some of my fellow intellectual radio hosts here to help me on the topic. And it actually came from their show. I was here on their show. Their show is Wednesdays Off the Wall at 7 p.m. here at IntellectualRadio.com. And I'm happy to have them here. So I'm going to go back through everybody so you get the whole team, because I got my regulars and I got the He Said, She Said team, and then Off the Wall. So I got Inyatu.
What's up, everybody?
Walinda.
Hey, hello, everybody.
Lady Magnificent.
Hey, everybody.
JB3.
What's happening, y'all?
And my girl Neemya.
In the building.
Part of the He Said, She Said team, and my socialites who has a segment on dating. I would think one day we're gonna try to fit that all in too. So we're talking about child support. So like I said, I'd love for you to chime in and tell me what you think. Give us your opinions on it on Facebook. If you are part of our group, please join the He Said, She Said group. Tell us what you think. Join in our conversations. We do this every single day, all hours of the day. We start early in the morning, debating over, and then, but we love each other. Yeah, but we really learn a lot too, because you really learn how other people feel, how they think, and it's fun at the same time. So this segment is brought to you by Journey to Wholeness Center. They're located at 9501 New England in Oak Lawn. They specialize in healing situations. So if you are having an issue with co-parenting and maybe want to get some counseling, or maybe that third party to come in and help you through these situations, you can give them a call, 708-634-3664. Journey to Wholeness Center. They have yoga, meditation. They have 18 different practitioners who deal in all different modalities of healing. So today they have someone there dealing with EFT and autism today. So if you're thinking of ways or need ways on how to deal with your autistic child or children, then they have ways to help that as well. So please check them out there at 9501 New England, Journey to Wholeness Center, or journeytowholeness.org. So back to, I'm going to go through
subject. We got some people chiming in.
What are they saying?
Actually, Daryl Hollywood Thomas said, why do women receive child support, but still the father not buying the child any clothes in her household? And so he's saying, and the mother doesn't send clothes with the child when he visits the father. So basically he's saying the father still has expenses. My son still has to have his own room. He still has to have clothes at my house. I still have to feed him when he's with me, yet still contribute to that other household. And so that's a sore spot for a lot of fathers. It doesn't bother me per se. Mothers too. There it is. Chime in.
Why?
I co-parented I told you guys in the group, my stepdaughter lived with us every other week, and her mother would not send her with anything every time she came. So the clothes I used to send back to her home, I kept them at my home because she's at my home just as much. And so that had to stop. He was paying child support, and we were still buying her clothing items all the time, but she would never send anything back.
But see, my experience was the opposite, because I would send clothes and then I wouldn't get them back.
Wow.
And so now then I'm just like, when she goes, he's like, well, you gonna send us some clothes? You better find the clothes that you hibernating over there.
Hibernating clothes.
I mean, you got clothes over there. I'm not gonna keep buying. I'm not gonna fill her wardrobe at your house while lessening the one in mine.
Right.
You know, that's not how that's supposed to work. If you're giving me money and I'm buying her clothes, send me the clothes back. I mean, her clothes got to go two ways. We don't have his house clothes and her house clothes. You know, if we did, then he needs to buy his house clothes.
Right.
Then that's fine. I'll just send her, and then you can send her back with the same outfit I sent her with it on. It don't matter to me.
And so what about those expenses for clothes not coming out of the child support? What is the child support monies supposed to be used for?
And that's what I'm saying.
I have no opinion about that. I shoot you my part. Do your thing. I don't care if you go to Miami with it. It's on you.
Oh, now you know a lot of fathers don't feel that way.
Yeah, I know.
She can go get her nails and hair done with the child support money.
But they gonna be mad for no reason. The court don't care. The court does not care.
You're right. Once the money is in the household, it's the household's money.
Absolutely.
I mean, whatever she uses it for is what it is. Basically, hopefully you hope that she's using it for your child.
What you think,
Well,
Wiley?
Yeah.
I went 1 second.
So I was back there grunting.
And this is Wiley, you guys.
Oh my
So
God.
we're gonna
So-
join him in the conversation. I don't think I introduced him, but here he is.
Hello, everybody. But
The second time.
yeah.
Right.
So I have 2 children that live out in Beloit, right? Beloit, Wisconsin. So these 2 children, I usually get my children once a year, and I live in Texas. So I would drive down to Beloit, Wisconsin, right? Get my children, and every time I got them, there would be no clothes, little to any toiletries or anything, right? So I pay child support, take my kids back, and I don't have a problem with like other expenses. Like when I have my kids with me, I pay at least $500 every time I'm with them. They're with me on extra clothes, extra anything, while they're with me, and I have no problem with that. There's no line drawn, and it's especially when the child support is supposed to be for food, clothing, shelter.
That's what I was asking.
Right.
Is there like set things that the courts are expecting you to use this money for? Are there expectations?
The courts used
Shelter.
I was told that it's for your children's future, whatever that.
The future.
Yeah, whatever that entails, right?
Yeah, no rules.
Right. It's for whatever. So you can't like have any stipulations on what the child support is used for, right? So if it's used for their clothing, I don't have a problem with that. That's what I feel like, I mean, as a parent, those are the basic needs of a child anyway. You don't need to be like buying your child like Jordans and all this other stuff, but as long as it's used for like to have them.
Well, it says here that technically child support is supposed to cover housing, food, and clothing.
Right.
But there's no law
But
that dictates that. No judge is going to get involved with that. They're not going to say she's supposed to take the money. They have to have a certain amount of clothes, or they have to have a certain amount of food in the house. The judge is not going to enforce that.
And if you lived in the same household, and would you be like, well, did you buy the shoes or did you buy? So
right.
do they leave
I
it
think
like
that's,
that?
like, super petty. When people are.
I know a woman who bought breasts
and
with
I try my
with
hardest
child
not to be-
support. I'm just keeping it
Maybe
real.
she needs to nurse.
Right. I try my hardest not to be petty. Like I think a lot of men and women can be super petty as far as what the support is supposed to be used for, right? Like women will be like, hey, my child needs this, my child needs that. It's winter time or it's school time, and it's hard enough for me to feed, clothe, and shelter my child. He needs this extra for this, but if I'm paying support, then the support should pay for that.
What if it's not enough? What if a lot of
That's what I was
people
about to say.
feel like, even because I know some people who get $27 a week. Does $27 really pay for a child to live? I mean, that doesn't seem quite like, what do you say you use that for? She used that on her nails. Eventually, a whole other amount of money is going to come from somewhere.
Well, I have 2, and my total child support is $316 a month. They got different fathers, but
Total between
the
each.
2, $316.
But it
And
is based on what they make, correct?
It is, but even still, they still got extra money. But I have a 17-year-old and a 10-year-old, and we know $316 ain't paying for nothing. When you got my oldest daughter's in high school, her lunch is $100 a month, and she's the one that gets $116. So there that is. So now I got $16, and I can't not give my kids anything. So that money's coming out of my pocket to take care of them. So sometimes child support does not take care of your child, but the men will not step up and say, well, I know that's not enough money. Let me go ahead and break you off a little extra because I know it's
And let me say this. I know it's not just men. I know women who don't pay their child support either, who are supposed to be paying, and they don't pay their share. So I know this goes both ways, so I don't want to make any man. Terry Connor said, I will say this. By the time I receive my support check, I have spent 3 times that amount. So it goes towards the house. It has never been spent on me. If my child is being well taken care of, fed, clothed, and school fees, doctor copays, and incidentals, I'm not going to itemize my spending habits. Who sets the parameters of how you spend it if you're being responsible? So shouldn't we hold the parents to being responsible with the money?
This is probably going to be an unpopular opinion with the fellas, because I know, again, it can be sensitive, and I know there were times in my life where I was, trying to look at the situation. But ultimately, we chose these people, and these are our children, and you just got to let it go, or you're going to be mad forever. You can't determine that. So, whatever they want to, whatever they want to do with the money or whatever the case may be.
It's for support. It's not to take care of. It's just help you out. No matter how much it is, these are the people we chose to have a child with. So we're going to, like it or don't like it, enough money or not enough money, whoever the child is spending that time with is, basically a person who's hopefully they're taking good care of your child when when they're coming back into your house or leaving your house, they come back the same way.
That's what I look at. Is my child happy? Is he smiling when I see him?
Yes.
Then all the money spent is well spent.
Now, I'm going to bring up something, and I know this is not going to be popular, what I did, but I chose to do it for myself. My oldest child I had before I got married, and I didn't take him to child support, and I didn't ask him because I knew he didn't have it, and I felt like he may, if I fought him on it, not see his son. I wanted my son to have a father more than I wanted his money. And so I never took him to child support. He gave me $60 my son's whole life, but he did pick him up every Friday. So to me, that was in lieu of support.
I want to clap it up for Wanda.
Yeah, because
everybody clap it up.
I want to clap it up because I struggled.
That's a great thing, though.
I struggled.
But that interaction can be more important than the money, and that's something that Tucson just jumped in and said. That as he's a married man in the home with his children and his wife, and he said the time spent and the energy spent
means way more.
Means way more than the money, and I agree with that totally. I fought to have more visitations, be able to spend more time with my son whenever he's ready to come live with me. I'm all for it because to me that is more important than the money.
With both of my children's parents or fathers, I wanted them to spend more time, and they wouldn't do it. So, okay, you're not going to spend money, and you're not going to help me. One of those things has to go away. You're going to help me some type of way. If it's money, then it's going to have to be money. No matter how big or small it is, at least I feel like you're doing something. I'm not in this all alone.
Yes, especially, I guess, if they're not spending the time. And I will say one reason that I didn't fight it more is because he picked him up every single Friday, all 18 years of his life, and kept him every weekend. So to me, I didn't get I did get the financial because I didn't pay for what he did at his dad's house over the weekend.
That's still very mature.
So I'll look at it that way. God bless your heart. I was mad though.
I'm a product of co-parenting, and I was a weekend summer kid, and my mom never put my dad on child support, and so if I needed something and she couldn't cover it, I called my dad. If my mom came up short on some household expenses and she couldn't make the ends meet, she called my dad, and he helped out when he could. And so the benefit though with me being able to spend those weekends and summers was the exposure I got was insurmountable for the experiences that if my mom was the send a check, cut a check, whatever, if she wants to go with you, if not, it's all good. I was able to experience some things that my mom financially couldn't afford being a single parent. And so my dad was in a 2-parent household, and she could have very well fought and got a decent amount. But my dad was very adamant to make sure that our relationship was flourished and that I got the exposure as a child to help mold me as an adult.
Right. And I will say that my
mom too.
It's her birthday. Happy birthday, mom.
Happy birthday, mom.
That his family stepped in, because a lot of times when he didn't pay his parents, it still gave my son a strong foundation because his family also kind of filled in for him where he didn't. that his family always, his aunts, I had a village, and thank goodness I may not had his financial support, but his family created the village for my child. So I sometimes cringe at the thought of how the not letting the child see the parent, why children sometimes are used as weapons in these situations.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's the only weapon that parent feels like they have. Hurt people. So Black people, we need to get over being afraid to go to therapy. I went to therapy to get over my anger, get over being upset, take responsibility for the choices that I made, and just be proactive about doing what you're supposed to do and what you need to do, and stop worrying about what the other person does, and then you'll be better off and have a happier life, and so will your child.
Well, and y'all two hits a very, very pointed point, is that hurt people hurt people. Bitter people also produce bitter little people. Mm-hmm. And so I just watched a show last week, and a young lady put Nair in her stepmom shampoo. We were talking about that on He Said, She Said.
Right.
And the outcome, when you saw her mom speaking with such venom about the father not doing this, she was really just putting her mom's words into actions. And so she's probably going to grow up and be that angry woman, because she has not seen a foundation of a healthy relationship that plays out. And, financially, there absolutely is a need when there's a human being involved. And so any human being that will walk away from someone that they produce is whack as ever. But I never got the whole, well, you can't see the baby. Child, please, you get a whole weekend free. Let your child go so you can enjoy life Friday through Sunday, Thursday through whenever, and, pick the kid up on Monday and do it all again next week. And so I never got that. I fortunately, I don't have friends that have played that role. They've all been like, well, can we get a situation Thursday through Sunday? But for the most part, you really are having an influence, whether you think you're doing it directly. Kids see the behavior. They see if you're hanging up. They hear if you talking bad about them. And so they're going to pick that up and produce that behavior somewhere in their life.
Oh yeah, I actually experienced that.
Yeah, there's a quote, and I give it to you, but I just wanted to share the quote. There's a quote that says, "When the parents are at war, it's the child that gets wounded," and everybody needs to understand that. Everybody needs to understand that.
Yeah, my stepdaughter went to stay with her father for a while, and she put all of our business on Facebook. Nobody knew that we were even divorced. All of that was out there, but me as a parent and as a responsible adult, I talked to him, and he said, oh, she's just, going through a little something right now. I'm like, if she doesn't know how to use social media, she doesn't need to be on there. I raised this child for 10 years. She was with me for 10 years in and out of my house. So I expected a little more respect from her, but it had to come from him. Took me some years to get over it, but I did. And I reached out to her, and me and her are close as ever. Close like when she was a little girl. So, that's something else. They do pick up on parents. Yes.
And if you keep saying that my father is no good, and I'm part of my father, I'm made up of a mother and father, and if I constantly hear that my father is no good, what do I feel about myself a little bit? A little bit of confusion must start to come in there.
And I had to talk to my daughter about that, because she was feeling a certain kind of way about her dad, and I said, well, he is your dad. And she said, but I'm the kid. Why do I always have to be right? She said, why do I have to be the adult? I said, yes, the adult in the situation. She says, I'm the child. But I always explain things to her, two wrongs don't make it right. So, he does what he does over there, but you still respect your dad, because my stepdaughter, and I have two actually, they both refer to him as his name, not dad. My child still says dad.
And see, that's what I was about to say, that we, try to resist the temptation to express your dissatisfaction with the other co-parent to your child. Children are resilient, believe it or not. if someone's being a bad dad or being a bad mom, it's not totally the end of the world unless the child is in danger. And then 2, as children get older, they see things very clearly for themselves. You don't have to badmouth anybody. You don't have to say anything. Trust and believe. When that child gets a certain age, they're going to begin to assess the situation. They're going to begin to look for the truth, and they're going to come to their own conclusions. And so you just have to be patient. And you know, I know this is cliche, but you really do have to try to be the biggest person. I know that's easier said than done. So I empathize and I sympathize with people on both sides of the fence, truth be told. I don't have any ill will towards my son's mother. I understand the situation. It's hard to break away from somebody and you still attached with a child. And I empathize with her because my son looks and acts just like me. So it's like she still lives with me, with him in that house. So I get it, because I can't imagine if we had a daughter and I had to still live with her, I would probably need therapy behind that. So I get it. You know, I get
say
it.
every day, you are just like your mother.
Right, just like your daddy. Choking out. So, you know, I get it. It's not easy, but we have to do our best to be the mature adult in the situation.
But I think sometimes the problem comes in is where the parents invoke their personal feelings with the child. Instead of whatever issues that I got with the father, I take up with the father. I don't discuss it with the child because they're a child. And you always just have to be reminded that they're not going to be babies forever. Understand that even if I'm not telling them, when they get older, they're going to see it by your behavior. I don't have to spell out anything. They will notice as they get older. So I just make it a point to not speak badly about, no matter how bad I dislike their fathers, and which I don't. We have great relationships. I mean, we can have a barbecue and they're both at the house. But I have to be sure that, because both of my kids' fathers have to get along, because if something happened to me, I need to make sure my kids are still going to be able to be around each other, still do things together. So it's important that both of their fathers get along and be able to coexist. So one will do for the other one, just like one they'll do for each other's. But I still think that it comes into play where sometimes the parents, they have their own personal feelings about the other parent, but that has nothing to do with that child. Let your child be a child. Let them enjoy their father, their mother, their times. Even if he take them to McDonald's, I don't care.
What if they're not paying the child support?
It's not about money, because guess what? You can't put a price tag on time.
Right.
That you can't put a price tag on memories. You can't. These kids will think, even though they fathers ain't with them every time, they gonna always remember that one time he took them here, or that one time he did this with them. It don't matter how many things you did. I promise you, that's like nothing to them. But that parent they don't see all the time, he can take them around the block and they gonna remember that and act like he done took them someplace spectacular on a vacation. You like,
they've been to Disney World,
but around the corner.
But fair.
Y'all better pay attention to Lady Magnificent. What she's saying
because
is so true.
To them, because they don't get it every day. They see you every day, so it's a whole different level of how a child views you, because you're with them every day. So they value the time they get to spend with that other parent. So don't stop it. Don't be mad. Oh, he ain't give me no money. Guess what? You ain't die. It didn't kill you because you ain't get this money. You still, whether you get the money or not, you still got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So you can't be mad. But if he ain't got it to give, but he tell me, I'm going to come get him. Babe, I'm on the phone trying to make plans for that weekend. Like, look, they gone. You know, so that's more important to me. It's time.
Terry Connor said they'll resent you before they will the parent you're dogging.
Right, exactly.
That speaks to your character. And I think that's so true, that it's, if you can put your child above your feelings for the other parent and put your child first, it does speak to your character. And you're teaching your children, because they model your behaviors, and you're teaching them how to handle situations.
But it's also teaching them to disrespect. You're supposed to teach your child to respect adults. So if you're beating up the other kid, the other parent, then you're teaching them that disrespect is okay. And you don't want them to do that, because at the end of the day, you can't change who their father is.
And they will disrespect
they
that
will.
other parent.
They will start saying, like, you can't tell me nothing.
Depend on who that other parent is. I don't know what somebody could say to my son to make him disrespect me.
or they'll
but you
begin
have
to
the
disrespect
relationship
you.
with them. Some of them don't have the other parent doesn't have the relationship built up enough. Like the little girl putting there in the
a lot of people don't know this. Yesterday was the anniversary of me getting my son back. I didn't see my son for 5 years. I was in his life until maybe 2 months before he turned 2 years old, and then that whole 5-year time, I didn't see my son not one time. Even
that you were fighting to get him. 5 years.
5 years.
Oh, the amount of money that must be.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. We putting these attorneys' kids through college with the money that could have been dedicated to my son going to college. So understand this, that when two people have a child, the mother automatically has parental rights.
Mm-hmm.
The father does not have any parental rights until they go to court and they assess this situation. And so
so tell us why weren't you able to see him? What had happened that it changed for you two? Why did she now stop letting you see him?
There was just a lot of hurt between she and I, and being it's sensitive, but just being a young first-time father, I was behaving in some ways that now, looking back on it, I know I shouldn't have. I had opinions about whether or not other guys should be around my son. I had opinions about how she should be conducting her life because my son lived with her. And at that time, because I was a new father, I thought I was right. I thought that was right. And now I'm older and I understand that I don't have no say-so. If I want to have a say-so about what she does and what goes on in her house, I should have married her and we should be together. But if I didn't do that, then truth be told, she can pretty much do whatever she wants to. And I have nothing that I can say about it.
But that took away your right to see the child?
I never had a right. When she decided you can't see him anymore until a judge said, yes, you can, then that was the issue. And because so much time went by without me seeing him, it was a gradual process, and the courts are backed up. So we was like the first 2 years we were only going to court twice a year. I went to court in December to try to be able to see my son, and they was like the next court date was in June. I cried. I cried, and then we went back to June, and they was like, we see you again in November. I'm like,
see, that's why a lot of kids get kidnapped.
You had to take a drug test. That's what I was about to say. I don't condone or encourage any father to give up, but I empathize and I sympathize with what you go through. It's a very discouraging situation. I got alopecia in my head. I was stressed out. I was losing weight. It was all types of things going on because the court did not care, and things were being able to be said. So it's like if a mother says the father is emotionally abusive to the child, they killed the visitation. So I got visitation during that 5 years, but then it was killed again, and we had to go to therapy for 6 and 7 months, and then come back to the table, and then it was mental abuse, and then we had to go back to the therapist again for 9 months before I could see my son.
What if you don't have the money though? What happens to the parent who can't afford to pay an attorney? I didn't have the money. I was being my own attorney. I said either I'm going to lose, that was a very scary prospect because I felt like whatever the judge said, that was going to be final. So I was afraid to try to be my own lawyer, but then I was afraid not to fight for my son. It's a very tumultuous, very emotionally taxing situation, but that's how that went, that there was a lot of back and forth, whether or not I was a fit parent. And so going to therapy and all these different things to be able to get him. So I was having to see my son with a therapist for almost a year, 2 times in a row. At one point, and so it's tough, but it's again tough. I still take responsibility. I'm not mad at anybody. I take responsibility for the situation, and I don't think that was the case, but if you haven't been involved with the other co-parent for a year or 2, you don't necessarily know what's going on with their life. You don't know what's going on in their household. So the judge assigned my son an attorney. That attorney had to come to my house and see how I was living and see what my life was like and all types of things, and all of this takes tremendous amount of time. What a process to see your own child.
And see, now I went through my divorce. I went through the Kendall County court system. It's a little bit different out there. Through our divorce, they made both of us do the counseling. Here's the thing. He didn't do the counseling, and the judge told me he couldn't see the child. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. If, it was only, I think we had to pay $200 for the counseling. I did it. He didn't. But I didn't want that to stop him from seeing the child, my daughter. So, no, you can come and get him. I know you, okay, I don't know what your money situation is like. I told him I'd pay for it. He still didn't go. But he let that stop him. Well, no judge gonna tell me when I can or can't see my child. And I said, I'm not letting the judge tell me. Now I might get in trouble and go to jail myself. I don't know how that works, but if you want to come and get her, come and get her. But he never did. So it's just words out of his mouth he used as an excuse not to.
Let's clap it up for white liberals. Everybody, for real. Whenever you being the mature parent and you trying to be the understanding, the bigger person, I'm gonna clap it up for you. I'm gonna salute you. I'm gonna give you respect because it's hard to do. It's not easy to be the bigger person in this situation. It's your child. That's probably the most hurtful, painful situation to have to go through. And so anybody who finds it in their heart to be mature and finds it in their heart to try to understand what's best for the child, I have to give it up for them.
But it becomes very difficult when you're trying to fight a fight that the other parent doesn't want. So now you're fighting a losing battle. You really are. You're trying to be the bigger person. You're making it extremely easy for them to just do nothing but breathe and be in the same room with your child. That's all I want you to do. But some just don't even want to do that.
Not for real.
So it's like, what do you do when it's a situation where you're not keeping the child away from the parent? The parent is keeping himself away from the child. Right. Because not everybody wants to be that parent. Everyone isn't built to be in that role. Everyone wants to have fun in the process of making them, but when they come out, then you want to run. Mm-hmm. And it's like they don't take that into consideration. Like, this child didn't ask to be here. Absolutely. That was the decision that we made, but don't run from it. I mean, they don't know any better. So now you're running, but you're hurting your child, and you're not even considering them because you're being selfish and just thinking of what you want to do and how you want to do it, rather than, you know what, let me suck this up and go ahead and be a grown person. I can't say man or woman because you got some deadbeat women out here. So I'm saying, let me grow up. Let me step into them shoes and show them how it's supposed to be done. Because you don't want to you weren't there for your son. So guess what? Your son may have a kid and not be there for his, because that's what he knows.
A lot of adults like to victimize themselves, and that's what I found. And it's sad.
I see some of my friends who fathers weren't there, who that's why they the great fathers that they are right now. Shout out to my boy Donnell Henderson, and any of the other fathers out here who didn't have a father to show them. I remember the guy, I want to say Gino, who was on the show a few months ago, was saying he didn't have that example, but that's what motivated him to go out and look for other examples and make sure that he was a good father. But you can't force that other parent to do anything. The only thing you can do is try to be the best parent to your child that you can be, and you have to let that play out the way it plays out. But 9 times out of 10, if that father's being a deadbeat, he's going to regret that later and have to deal with that demon later, because that child is going to remember that.
Right, but then let me ask the question: do you think that it makes a difference if the mom is more supportive, or if she's just like, your dad ain't no good and this and that, your dad, you don't need him? Does that make a difference in how that man sees being a father? Because if the woman is constantly putting the man down, then how are you teaching him to be a better father when you're knocking his dad?
Yeah, it's I think it's an individual. It depends on the person. In each situation, but it does make it tougher if there's bad mouthing going on and there's negativity and toxicity going on in the relationship for everybody involved. But yeah, dad, do you want to? It's already hard enough. Do you want to have to deal with the drama of the other co-parent? Either way, the mother too. I don't want to make anything one-sided. Who wants to have to? It's already hard enough to be a co-parent, because it's not in the traditional sense where y'all in the household together, making decisions together. You're seeing your child every day, so it's already a difficult situation. And so whenever there's hostility between the co-parents, it just makes the situation that much more difficult. And so I want to encourage all the fellas out here: if you got a friend who's not seeing their child, speak up. Don't knock them, but encourage them. Even my family, they had to be like, yo, you got to go to court without a lawyer then. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can't be erased out of his life, because everybody was cut off. It wasn't just me, even though the whole village was involved up until the point I got cut off. When I got cut off, everybody got cut off. Gifts weren't accepted, calls weren't accepted, pictures weren't shared.
Grandparents had no.
Nobody had any rights. And so my friends were like, yo, bro, that's not gonna fly, man. I don't care what you got to do. we got to go get him back.
And I think that's where a lot of the problem lies. Torrance has mentioned several times about how child support is the largest debt in Black community. You mentioned how does it negatively impact a child? How does it impact a child when the mom is speaking ill will? Ultimately, it's your child. Talk, like we said earlier, you picked her, she picked him. It may not be a seamless situation, but the one factor that should promote you to continue to reach forward is it's your flesh and blood. Absolutely. And so, Torrance, I totally get where you're coming from. However, the reality is we don't have very few, but there's a missing factor with active dads in their lives. And the main excuse is, well, she don't want me to do this, or I can't see the kid when I want to see him. So all she wants is, what about your child? What does your child need? It doesn't cost anything to say, hey, I'm just going to stand outside the school. I know they go to this school, and I'll say hi. Here goes some lunch. Go inside the school, and I'll be out here with an ice cream cone afterwards. Just those smaller things, like you said. The kid that gets the parent that's not in that household, and I was I wouldn't say a victim of that, but I was a product of that. My dad could do no wrong. My mom was the mean old lion, but it was because she was taxed with disciplining, right? And she had to, shower me with love and all of these parameters that make the kid look at the parent like, you're the evil one and this is the golden one. Right. I need to go to the golden one, and that's most of the time the parent that's not in the household. And it's because those moments that you're with that parent are they're limited, so you're not there long enough to get a spanking. I got 2 spankings out of my dad in my entire life, and I was distraught. And my mom's like, you go over there, you act right, and over here you a whole donkey. Right. Sometimes, and it's just because you're around that parent, and so you get kind of used to what you can get away with, what you can't get away with, but it's still no excuse. Moms and dads, if you are not the custodial parent, you have to find smaller ways. And again, I get it. Financially, it is a huge burden and task, but you just got to be creative. Those who want to be there are going to be there. Oh yeah. It may be like, and y'all two said, it may be 5 years between fighting a court case, but he found it important to be a part of his son's life. I appreciate you encouraging other men to fight for their children, and it's a fight. I mean, unfortunately, it's not simple. 5 years. Think about going to court for 5 years of your life. If just to see your own flesh and blood. I understand that. Jamelia said, "I love to see men encourage each other to do right by their kids. Are Black men willing to take unsolicited advice from other men regarding the raising or not in their children?" So we're going to touch on some more of these topics. I'm going to take a quick break. I want to also mention that we're going into our 3 o'clock hour, our new hour. Yay. If you're looking for Sister's Heart right now, she has moved to 11 o'clock now at IntellectualRadio.com, so you can listen to her at 11. And I'm so happy. I'm grateful that she still get to get her empowerment early in the morning now to start my day. So now we're here for another hour. I want you to stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break. And you're listening to He Said, She Said with Wanda on IntellectualRadio.com.
I came back to this bitch stomping. I came back to this bitch stomping. I came back to this bitch stomping. Was never good at baseball. At 13, buddy, I was chopping 8 balls. And not to tell on 8 ball, but him and Danny showed the block how to cake, y'all. Yeah, Project Kid, born jet black. Felt empowered when I learned to accept that. Was told my skin would limit any gains. I guess they ain't viewed the hues in my chain. I'm from the concrete cargo. Got the iron on me, homie, wherever I roam. Now that I got your attention, act like I never left. Believe it, I'm back, bitches. Yeah, y'all thought I was done. I came back to this bitch stomping. I came back to this bitch stomping. I came back to this bitch stomping. Y'all thought it was over. Come back to this bitch stomping. I come back to this bitch stomping. I come back to this bitch stomping. The rebirth of Ric Flair. Kiss stealing, willing dealing if I'm there. Rest in peace to Leclerc. Come on. The essence of every hustler who pitched there. Yeah. know Roger Clemens made lemonade when all we had was lemons. What else? Peeled hundreds and clothes off a lot of women. You know the feeling if you was out there getting it. Break to all my D-boys listening. Whether X is still in it. Salute. Whether lease bought or rent it. Roll your window down and shout, I'm back, nigga. Y'all thought I was done it. I came back to this bitch.
You were listening to the sounds of Jay Hollins. Jay Hollins was a guest with us last week.
Oh, that's Jay.
That's Jay's music.
Jay, that's pretty. Awesome. Every time I hear it, I'm always like, who's that? That's pretty dope.
Yes, that is dope. That's Jay Hollins of Hollins Fitness. He was here with us last week and graced us with the he's, because we like to have our he's here. Now, if you'd like to join the show and be a he on the panel, please let us know. Letting Yatu know.
Absolutely.
And Yatu is in charge of getting us the he's here on this panel. But we have a full hope. We just had Latrice or Lady Magnificent and JB3 here with us from Off the Wall on Wednesdays, and it was nice to have some of my IntellectualRadio.com brothers and sisters here with me to talk about the topic of child support. And so we've really been going into how this affects the community, but I want to talk about that a little bit more. I have a balanced group of he's and she's here today representing, so I love it. And we're
in the building.
In the building and hitting on this topic. But what Torrance brought up and I thought was an interesting way of putting it, and maybe a dynamic I'd like for us to talk about, is what does these policies, what has been the effect on our community by these staunch rules of now you've lost your driver's license, now you can't work, and now you're further behind. Now you're $40,000 in the rears, a whole year of maybe of payments behind. I mean, that you just don't, I don't even see how someone comes out of owing $40,000, $50,000, $100,000s of dollars in child support, and now I can't work. How do we expect them? And what does this do? How does this fracture our communities this way?
It's a big factor in our communities. I mean, one of the first things he said was that it was a anti-parenting police policy, rather, the child support thing. And I know that, for some mothers, they won't see it that way, but let's take the mothers and the fathers out of the equation. In that courthouse, those judges don't care. I mean, majority of them don't care. Again, in 5 years, I went to court a lot of times, and I got to see a lot of different scenarios. And those judges, when they move the court date 6 months ahead, 9 months ahead, they don't care. The attorney that was assigned to my son, I wanted to get him disbarred. I'm like, you don't want me in my son's life and you have no dog in the fight. Like, what is your problem? And he was just like, that's too much time away from the mom, and it's important for the mom. I'm like, the dad, it's important for the dad to be involved as well. And so this is a huge issue. If a guy can't work, then how can he possibly ever get caught up on the child support? And so I would at least say, even if there has to be some tactic to push men to pay that child support, then they need to even the playing field. It's definitely a huge gap between enforcing of parental rights for the father and enforcing the child support. There's a whole different set of laws. There's a whole different mentality that the judges are going to it. They won't hesitate to issue a warrant for that. But in that entire 5 years, they looked to punish my son's mother one time for not following the visitation rule, and I don't want to hurt my son, so I let that go.
I agree, and Yatu, there is a huge unbalanced gap between enforcing the policy towards the child support payer and then enforcing the visitation to the custodial parent. But it's one of those things that you can't be afraid of the giant. So you can't let the fact that deter you. I know men that have said, well, I'm just going to not get a paying job because I'm so far in the rear. My transparency moment is the IRS snatched up money and was like, look, we're taking it and you're not getting it back. I could have sat around and said, okay, it's the IRS, nobody wins. But I took the fight on. So I did some research. I didn't seek out a lawyer, and I got some of my money back. And it was just a matter of doing the work. And so while it is a huge, once you get far behind, losing your license, it deters you from getting a job and, having your check garnished. But there are some they're very minor loopholes, but they exist to get in there and to get some payment arrangements started and created so that you are being able to walk away with some livable wages outside of child support. But it's just a matter of fighting the giant and not being complacent with I'm behind, so I'm just going to be behind and not do anything about it.
Now, is it wrong? Is there a way, because I'm not familiar with the child support system at all, that a mother can waive some of the back, so maybe he could get caught up
if
and then start
state assistance?
Yes.
Ooh, I forgot about that.
So,
she's right.
So the factor is, if she's on state assistance,
they want their money.
But men do know that, and I had a friend whose mom was being paid child support. He was very supportive. She was on state benefits, and she kept, she didn't want to take his insurance, but she wanted him to pay for other insurance. So he petitioned the court and said, hey, I believe this is against your state assistant policy.
Uh-oh.
And she got in trouble for that financially, for not adhering to the guidelines as set forth. So, yeah.
And I wanted to know, I didn't ask this, but wanted to know, did you win your son, and it was a fight, 5 years is a fight, but you never got an attorney that whole time, and you won on your own? You won that, you were able to see him again as your own attorney?
Yes.
Well, I think that's very encouraging.
Yes, absolutely. I have a little experience with contracts and legal documents already, and so I think that gave me a little more courage going into that situation, like just being honest, and I know the law pretty well. I have anxiety attacks when I go into a courtroom. I don't care if it's a parking ticket or a speeding ticket, because I've seen a judge just get upset, have a bad day, and just decide something. Like, there's no policing a judge. They can do it however they want to, and that's on both sides of the fence. I watched a mother go in. The guy was $40,000 behind on child support, but the child was 19 or 20, and the mother was like, I don't care. She's raised. The judge put her in contempt of court because she was arguing, saying, I don't want to be here. You taking me out of work for some money that's not even mine. The child is 20 years old now. Bring them into court if you want to enforce this or whatever. But the judges are just up there having fun with the law. They could care less about the details of the situation. That judge put that mother in contempt of court for saying she didn't want to be in court. I want to go to work. I don't want to be here. I don't want to. That boat has, that ship has sailed. That money is gone. If my daughter wants it, she can come to court and get it, because that's who it's for anyway. I did what I was supposed to do, and the judge's like, I don't like how you're talking to me. Take her in the back and $100 for her to get out.
Terry Connor said, and I think it goes along with what you're saying, is that the justice system sets our children up for failure by supporting the idea of removing the Black father from the child's life. It is systematic. And I think we as a people have to realize, get outside of the fight between each other, that this is, when you look at what it's doing to our families and to our children, that what we have to start doing something different so we can have a different result for our children, because what is happening right now isn't working.
Absolutely. My mom was a single parent, pretty much, but my father did co-parent. She never one day, she had 6 kids with this man, take him for child support, but he was always supportive. He did whatever he had to do to get us whatever we needed. So, I mean, I had to say hats off to my mom, but then when you have someone who's not involved, what do you do?
I think that's the struggle with it, is that we can't, money isn't going to make that person be involved, though, no matter what. I mean, we can say that once you start paying, no, I think it's even less likely they're going to see him when the courts get involved. Yes. I just think, or what do you think? I don't know. I can't really speak.
No. I agree. I mean, again, who wants to be involved with the courts? When I did it, but I have the same sentiments that those other men say. I don't want a judge telling me when I cannot see my child. I don't want a judge dictating things in my child's life, and they don't know anything. That attorney, he wasn't a psychologist. He didn't know my son. He couldn't pronounce my son's name right. And he ain't here telling me what's best for my son. I want to choke him.
And that's so funny, because I know men who also had an attorney to help them get their children back, but they never got their children back. It was money wasted.
Absolutely.
So to me, I would do the 5-year fight then to get an attorney who's still not going to be able to help me. And it's one of those big names that you mentioned earlier. These men went through this man and still do not have their children, have rights to see their child.
That's a marketing. Understand that's marketing. What he's doing, he's just marketing himself to people who are in that situation. But
that's the radio lawyer.
Yeah, no names.
There's a guy who his whole firm is helping dads.
The father's right.
So you know.
Now here's the thing, and I know you guys are probably going to blow up after I say this. As the resident non-child having panelists today, we give men a hard time with child support, right? But some of us. Right. But I side-eye the mother who has 2, 3, 4 baby fathers, and you're constantly making the same mistake. At what point after baby father number 2 did you say, okay, let me pause, let me get this situation for my children before I bring another father and another drawn out courses, and
evaluate the potential of the parents. I mean, absolutely. Do you have if you see that this father isn't taking care of his other 3 kids,
facts.
Why do you want to jump in and think he's going to take care of your little bamboo?
When I date men, I have a 1 in a possible rule. I like you. You can have 1, and if I really like you, then I'm okay with 2. However, it really is contingent upon your relationship with your children and their mothers. So if you don't have a relationship, it's non-existent, you just pay child support, there's a possibility that we may become intimate and produce a child. Do I want to be in that seat where I'm now that other mom where you just shooting me with some child support, if that much? So we got to take responsibility for our actions and be responsible for that.
Our choices and our decisions.
Say that again.
But see, I had the sheep's wool pulled over my eyes both times. Child number 1, both parents are in his household, raised him wholeheartedly, and he was in a loving household, both parents. He and I had our first child together. This man saw his child every other weekend, and maybe one day. I used to count 20. That's 26 days a year. I used to count it. But then I have child number 2. I married this man, and he's taking care of his then 2-year-old on his own while the mom finishes school.
Seems
I like what I'm
responsible.
saying. 10 years together in the marriage, and once the divorce happened, absent. Purely just gone from her life.
Divorce the child as well as you.
It depends on the dynamics. I've seen that a lot of times too, where a father's involved in this set of children's lives and not involved in this child's life, and it makes logically it makes no sense to me. And I didn't get to interview these dads and ask them what was going on. And then on the flip side, I know 2 people who were paying over $1,300 a month in child support, and the mothers kidnapped the child out of state to make seeing the child inconvenient. I'm not, I don't want to put anybody else's. I can share my business because that's my choice. But I have a family member who, me and him used to have to drive to Tennessee every other weekend to go get my new. We were driving back and forth to Tennessee, 7 hours back and forth. Speak on it.
Wait 1 second. Let me. Go ahead, Wiley. Sorry.
No.
Forgot what I was gonna say.
So. I'm out here to see my 2 youngest children, right? And I pay my child support every time. I get them once a year, right? But we keep in contact. I get them once a year though, right? For the summer when they get out of school. And there hasn't been a time. My 2 youngest are 12 and 13. There hasn't been a time that I'm supposed to have them for the summer that they've come to me, and I live in Texas, right? So I'm driving or I'm flying to Chicago and flying or driving back, and then I have to bring them back out here, right? So usually I drive because I'm saving money, right? And if not for me having my children for those 2 months, they wouldn't know their grandmother, they wouldn't know their aunties, they wouldn't know their cousins, they wouldn't know anybody on my family side, and they live out here with my family.
I think I think it was Nemia who said this, or someone said this, and I think this plays a part in something you said too, Willinda, is that feelings. Letting your feelings, why you said they were one way when you met them, they had a whole different feeling 10 years ago when you separated, and now, so no matter what, your feelings should not come into play to the relationship with the parent and their child. They need both parents. So whether you love me and now I love the child and I love, and we're all one big happy family, but now we're divorced and I'm mad at you, but now that should not involve your child. In every situation, it comes down to you trying to hurt. What did you say? Hurt people, hurt others.
Yeah.
That your child is not a gambling poker piece, is not a weapon towards the other parent to hurt you. Should not be used in these situations. You should keep the dynamic between that child and their parents the same. No matter how you feel, if you hate his guts or you think she's the most evil demon woman, the child, it just shouldn't come into play. Let the child have their relationship. And then, like you said, there's other cases too where the parent doesn't want to be, and I don't even know how we fix that element when I'm the person who isn't charging you any child support and saying, look, just see your child, and you still don't show up. I think that's for a whole nother show.
That's how it always goes. The father who wants to be there is getting resistance, and the father who doesn't want to be there, that mother is like, you can come get the child whenever you want to, not taking them into court for child support, doing any of those things. And it's like, we just need to play musical chairs with the co-parents. Absolutely.
And you know what? And like you said, feelings. That's how I never wanted to be in court, but I just felt that you have to do something, either it be financial or, you know what I mean, or spending time with the child. So one of the other things was going to take place with me. That's just how it happened, because I did not want to be in court. I did not. Both times I did not. I gave the other parent the opportunity to do what they were supposed to do as a parent, and that's just spend time with your child. That's all my dad did with me, and it hurt me. It really did. I think I was probably more hurt than my kids that, you know, this man was around for 12 years in both of their lives, and all of a sudden, now he's gone, absent from everything. That's everything. Tough. So
and
I mean,
I really fought. The children and our families.
I really fought. Maybe the first 3 years, I would be on the phone and say, "Hey, look, what are you gonna do? You're gonna come get her this weekend." It used to be them, and I dumbed it down to her because my son has his own father. If you don't want to do things with him, that's fine, but do something with your daughter. My dad was always around, and I really appreciate that aspect. Even if we didn't want him to be around, he was there. So
it really is leading to and our children being affected. What do they see? What do they know about families? What do they feel about the family dynamic when so much turmoil happens in their lives? And sometimes it will take what Inyatu said, where you just have to give up all your feelings and just put what's best for the child involved. And it's not going to be fair. It sounds like life is not fair, and this isn't going to be some even thing where someone's going to come out. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with someone who's not fair, don't expect the outcome to come out fair. I mean, why, if you knew you weren't dealing with a fair person in the first place, they're not going to become fair. So
men, I believe that men need to understand that any time that you spend with your child, if you're not the custodial parent, is invaluable. It's very invaluable. It's more important than what you spend in child support. You know, and a lot of times you're fighting about money, and that's like the least of the problems, because this child is going to grow up to be an adult one day, right? An adult that you created. So you have to be cognizant of what you're creating for this child's future. And a lot of people don't think, you know, about their child's future. They really just,
they're thinking about themselves and
they're
this
thinking
moment.
at all.
What's
They're
happening
being
right
emotional.
now.
When you hate,
Right.
you can't think straight.
Right.
So you got hate in your heart, and your mind is not working anymore. And so, a lot of us, seriously, society has taught us to be punishers. We think that people take our kindness for a weakness, and so things go a certain way, and we feel like we got to punish a person to show them that we're not weak. Yeah, and being combative. And so we got to get out of that mentality. You can't punish people. Again, when we learn to take responsibility, everybody, I don't care if you're a man or woman in this situation, you decide to lay down with that other person, and so you are responsible for that choice. Everything that happened after that, you contributed something to that, both parties. And when you accept your responsibility, you accept your contribution to the situation, then you can calm down and begin to make, intelligent decisions for the child. And the ironic thing about my 5-year fight is that how I actually got my son back was to stop fighting. That I have a friend who's a woman who's a pastor who's older than me, and she said, you fought the good fight. She said, but I'm here to tell you right now, in order to get your son back, you got to stop fighting. And when you got to turn into Mother Teresa, and whatever they say, just say, okay, and God bless, and thank him. And I started doing that, and his attorney came to me, and he was like, you changed. He was like, I don't know what happened. I like this. He like, you were fighting with me before, and da-da-da. And when two people are acting a fool, they can't see who's right. One person stopped, the judge, the attorney, everybody started seeing, what was going on. I zipped my lips and just said thank you and God bless and okay. And that's what really brought things home and got me back into my son's life when I stopped fighting.
So Nimi, as the resident socialite on her, and also may date a man who pays child support. Would you marry a man who's paying crazy money in child support when you know that this is what your household would now entail, chunks of money going out to the child? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but
there's a condition if he is involved in his child's life. If he's just a check cutter, then no. No, I couldn't do it, and it's mainly because you're okay with money just washing out. Now, considering that the child support is based on the income being a percentage of the income coming in, then it will put a dent in the household, but I wouldn't mind supporting my man with that as long as I know he's an active. Yeah, if you're active, I know that when I went to my parents, well, my dad and my stepmom, who I still go to her house, and my dad is no longer married to her. I still go to her house, still have a good rapport with her. I knew that the activities that they were involved with me cost them money. I went there for the summers, but they had to pay for summer camp. They had to pay for all of my financial needs. And I didn't hear I can't go do this because your kid is around. Your mom didn't. The only battle that my stepmom and my mom had was hair. My stepmom could not comb hair. Hey, Mama Cass. And my mom would be like, what did she do to your hair? And so my mom would French braid me up and tell my dad, like, bring her back in 3 weeks and I can take her hair down, wash it, and rebraid it so she can go back out for however long you're going to be out there. So, I mean, it takes creativity to make those situations work, but it's workable. And it's not what we see in our community. So you got to always look outside of your community, because our community is used to, he's going on and we're going to fight. And, when I see my baby daddy type of deal, and that crap you see on TV, that's just that's staged for television. That's not real life. It does not have to be your situation. You can make a better situation for you and your child.
I read a statistic that said that half of the men who are in arrears for child support, the reason is because their income changed and they didn't know or were too afraid to go to court and get the child support adjusted. They just try to talk to the mom.
So if they were getting taking 20% of their income, but now they're making less money. Exactly. So now you're actually taking more than I can afford. Or
they went 6 months unemployed.
Okay.
And they didn't go back to have it reduced until they got another job. And so, they're trapped with this higher amount because they didn't didn't speak up or they didn't go into court. And again, I don't think it's because they're dumb. I think a lot of times men are afraid to go into that courtroom, and it costs money to even file a motion. But we live in the internet age, and there are all of these petitions that you need are online. And if there's anybody out here watching this who wants to see their child and wants to know how I went to court and I was my own attorney or whatever, I will help anybody. I will forward you every petition I ever filed. I will help you. I will go on Google and get updated things. But we have to understand that it's a new day and it's a new world, and you can, even if you don't have the money for an attorney, even if you don't have the money for court fees and things, there are motions and petitions where as long as you can show that you're not working or you don't have the income, that the courts, are legally supposed to work with you.
Oh yeah, I have an inside connection too, so you can inbox me if you need to. I can't mention the names over the on the show, but I have a great inside connection to this domestic subject.
Use that, you guys, if you need it to help you try to see your child, and then let's try to work together. You may not like your ex, whoever, your baby daddy, baby mama, but for the sake of our children, let's just try to come to some agreement, because you will save each other money. How about that? I don't like you, but they will take all your money. They will take every bit of money you have. They will fracture your family. So why don't we say, you know what, let's both save some money and do this, because you're both gonna pay. You can fight each other all you want, but it's gonna come out of you all are both gonna pay. So you've been listening to the He Says, She Says show on IntellectualRadio.com, and I am so happy to have a full he's and she's this week. I want you to join in our conversation on He Said, She Said. We have a group on Facebook where we talk about these comments of these topics that we're talking about now. And we have 2 hours now. Thank you to my dear sister's Heart, but she has moved on to 11 o'clock. So 11 a.m., check her out. She's a good way to start your day. Very motivating. Love her show. And so if you're used to watching her in the 3 o'clock hour, please go to 11 a.m. and listen to Sister's Heart. And very, very, very good uplifting show for everyone. 11 o'clock here. And then this segment is brought to you by NTS Realty Group. Kenya Las Kelly Palmer is a real estate broker. She can help you with all your real estate needs, whether you're buying or selling. Give her a call at 708-925-2492, 708-925-2492. Kenya at ntsrealty.com. So thank you, Kenya, and please check her out if you need some real estate. And
hey, Kenya, I went to high school with Kenya. What's up, Kenya? Absolutely. Graduated from high school with Kenya.
Hey, cool. She is a sponsor of the He Says, She Says show. We appreciate that. And if you're looking to sponsor the show, please do. Also, come on and be a guest. We're always looking for new guests to join in our topics and conversation. And you can bring your own topic. If you have something you want to talk about, let us know on Facebook at He Says, She Said. Go in our inbox and let us know. You can email us to at he says she said with Wanda B at gmail.com. And if you'd like to have your own show, you can contact me too. And Wanda B on Facebook. Be like the like a bumblebee. So I have go ahead, Earl.
Anything can come out to play. Hey, hey. Should have saw it coming, should have caught the warning. But I took a taste. Like candy rain, running rivers through the summer snow. You keep me satisfied. I can't complain, I wouldn't know where to start, no. It's good inside. Hot apple pie. I'm your ice cream. Let me melt for you. You're the sweetest thing to dip in my.
You've been listening to the He Said, She Said show on IntellectualRadio.com, and I have a whole group of he's and she's today. And you got to the side, kick the right. On the how does it go? My right hand man to my left. Belinda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Wiley Hay, and then Dots. We're gonna do this live June 21st at room 183, 4167 183rd in Country Club Hill. So if you want to come out and we have a good time, drinks, games, Mad Uno. We have a good time talking about this.
Uno.
So Jumbo Uno.
Jumbo Uno got serious last week.
We already talked about that. That's June 21st. We've been talking about child support and co-parenting. So as we wind down this conversation, what can we do differently? Is there something we could do to help this situation? Do you guys have any? Because you all have dealt with it in some way, whether you were the child who grew up in the child support system and co-parenting, or whether you're going through it now with kids in one state and you're in another trying to be a parent to kids that you live in a whole nother state, or whether you have parents of a child who won't come to even see the child or spend the adequate time they're supposed to spend, or you spent 5 years fighting to save your child in your life, but you have him now. He's here. He's actually here.
He's our resident share child. We all share him.
She said child.
Young man.
Here. He's
our young man now.
Young man.
So I have a quick question though, Wanda. Please. We talked about a lot of the support on the co-parenting side because the weather is warming. What are some of the social things that you plan to do with your kid? Like you got the girls.
You have them this summer. You said. What do you do with them?
So what y'all doing this summer?
Visiting family that they've never met, for the most part, and trying to get them acquainted with cousins and aunts and uncles and things like that they haven't met.
So that's important.
That's super important.
Do you have a daughter? Yeah, you do the hair.
Look behind us.
I have 3 boys.
3 boys.
Okay, good.
And the 2 in Wisconsin have. Do they still have?
No, they don't have their locks anymore. Okay. They had to get them cut off because I don't even want to talk about it. But yeah, they had to get their locks cut off.
Because of not maintaining, someone not wanting to maintain.
He was maintaining that, coming back once a year. So imagine.
That was one of those things that, I was also financially responsible for once a year. So, I mean, if that makes any sense to you, if they're living with the custodial parent and that parent is not doing what they should be doing with their hair for a year, and then I have to
try to fix it in a year's time of not having it taken care of. You have to make a decision.
That's crazy.
Idea of anything.
Yeah. Well, if you live in Chicago, the lakefront is very kid friendly. Chicago has 35 beaches. There's always an ice cream man out there. You can rent
and
bikes.
What's crazy? That water is cold, and them kids be in the water.
Anyway,
the temperature of the lake is about 45, 50 degrees, and they don't care.
Absolutely. Also, there are like fountains and stuff. So even if they're not going to the beach, the movies in the park is free. I just saw a bunch of kids playing in the water fountains at Navy Pier the other day. That's free. They had them in their swim trunks, and they was having a ball. I wanted to run through with my clothes. I was scared I was gonna mess my phone up, but I wanted to run through the water. I love water sports. There's they rent jet skis on the lake.
Have some free days at the museum throughout the
on
summer.
Tuesdays.
Absolutely.
There are so many things to do, even just like going to the conservatories with your child, or I live out by Naperville, so I mean we have the River Walk, we have the beach, we have in Chicago available to you. We even have a little zoo.
In Naperville, I had to go to the zoo.
You got Lincoln Park, that's free.
Yes.
There is a park on Austin in Jackson. It looks like just the regular part
Columbus
of the
Park.
golf portion. But right on the corner, if you go in, there's a Chinese garden in the middle of the park.
Columbus
Park,
waterfall.
It's all types of cool things that you can do.
I gotta write that down.
Yeah, they have Japanese gardens.
It was probably one of my
Museum
best
of Science
dates
and
was there. Museum of Science and Industry.
Washington Park has water slides. That's a free water park. That's Chicago Park. Yes, Washington Park. I grew up as a lifeguard through high school and college. That's how I helped pay my way through college, and I've had some times at Washington Park I can't even tell y'all about. As a lifeguard, we used to close the water park and have skinny dipping parties late at night up at Washington Park, but that's not something to do for the kids. Go during the day.
Something else. There we go.
No, it's a lifeguard tradition. So people out there who have been lifeguards or who live around Washington Park, they know all about it.
What's that? The Japanese garden behind the
Museum of Science and Industry, the Japanese garden.
This for children. What are y'all talking about here?
It's called the Japanese gardens. They have Japanese
Okay, just
flowers
making
and
sure.
plants. They maintain it. They have these fancy.
And Yatu was going
It looks like
somewhere
you're in Japan. Back there, I always go somewhere else. Teeny,
You know him.
Shout out to the lifeguards. That's all.
And then you got
And
DuSable
wearing
Museum
orange.
has various free activities, and they
Absolutely.
do movies in the park once or twice a month, and then they do Stepping Under the Stars. I was that kid that was with the parent at the stepping event, like the only kid out there looking for that one other only kid to play with. But just little things like that will keep your little busy. It won't hit your pockets. I can totally see how summer keeping a kid busy is expensive.
Absolutely.
Let me ask it as the parents who have them over just the summers and things like that, or every other weekend. Do you feel like you have to entertain, like your life isn't normal if it's spent around, or do you feel guilty if you don't do anything and just be with them? I mean, is it this thing of
I feel
entertaining?
guilty, but my son sometimes he want to do stuff and it's my fault, and because I'm working. And sometimes he come through and he's like, "Man, I'm tired. I don't want to sit here. I just want to chill, eat chicken, kick it, watch YouTube videos." And so that's definitely a difficult dynamic. You're trying to squeeze. I have them every other weekend, so that's 4 days out of the 30 days in a month, and I'm trying to squeeze in haircuts and shopping. Right. And then we just pulled out some Ralph Lauren bags from last summer with like $800 worth of clothes, he never wore, never popped the tags because it's just not enough time to do all of that. Thank God the tag is still there, so we can go trade it in.
I was going to say, can you even fit it?
Absolutely. He was like, "I'm gonna bust out a fit today." I'm like, maybe we should. Yeah, let's go run these back, check the sizes. But even he grows so fast, and so I buy him a pair of shoes, and then he has a growth spurt, and the next month we giving them away. And so his godbrothers love it. They like, "Sweet, he never wore these Jordans," and he mad. Like, I gotta get these.
I think it's more on the parent. Us feeling guilty not
they don't want to do
money.
All that.
They don't
right.
always want to. I know for me and my family, my nieces and nephews, let's go to TT house. And we have a bouncing thing back there for them, and just going to the park. They don't really want us.
Definitely going to relatives' house is something the kids are definitely into and enjoy, especially if there's other kids at that relative's house.
And there's no other kids at my house their age. You understand me?
Right.
But they know that trampoline is there. Oh yeah, let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah, I'm the fun uncle, so they know they can run up and mess my house. Me and my son, we went out and bought like 12 Nerf guns, and we used to have Nerf wars in my house. We used to find those Nerf bullets weeks later and stuff, but we would turn out the lights. We had the goggles, the vest.
You're more like me. I was going to buy a whole bunch of water guns. TT, did you get the water guns yet? So I got to go do that.
Even the cheap ones, it's fun. It's a water balloon. It's free. A water balloon fight. Put on your swim trunks. Fill those balloons up and just go. Just have a ball. Wet people up who said they're not playing.
Well, you have been listening to the He Said, She Said show on IntellectualRadio.com. We've been talking about child support today and co-parenting, and thank you all for sharing your experiences. Hopefully someone can relate or feel encouraged that there's help for them, and both Wanda and Yatu have offered to give some tips on maybe ways to fight to see your child or work with child support. So please take them up on it. And both gentlemen encourage the fathers and to keep the fight going, because it doesn't seem simple. And I definitely sympathize and empathize with that fight to see your child.
To the ones that keep fighting.
And the ones who don't see it, go see your child.
That's what all about.
Forget her.
Yeah,
keep fighting to see your child. Go see them.
Keep the fight.
Keep the fight.
Keep the fight.
And so, anybody, you all in Yatu, how can I get a hold of you?
Definitely on Facebook, Yatu Marvel. That's my government name, NYATU. Last name Marvel, like the comic books of the superheroes. On Instagram, I'm Marvelous since 1974, since SINCE. So I've been marvelous since my birth in 1974. And you can catch me out in the streets of Chicago having fun all summer. Speak if you know me.
Hey.
And me, it's just Wylenda Williams-Tubbs. Tubbs is just me recognizing my dad's last name because my parents never married. But that's me recognizing my family name because I know a lot of family that did not know me. So you could just inbox me on Facebook. I do not know my Instagram and my Twitter and all those things.
Look at Wylenda. You'll find her.
but we will Kenobi on Facebook. That's about it.
All right.
And only hit me up if you're a nerd.
And y'all too. I mean, Nemia. N dot.
You know what? I think I'm going to create an N dot page.
You should.
I will. That's my summer project, but I'm just Nemia. Nemia on YouTube, and then Crickling Girl on Instagram.
And I want you to, if you have events going on, please let Nemia know. Good dating. We want dating ideas where people can go on dates that are free. If you did something and you go, that was fun, please let Nemia know, because we want to share this with people. We oftentimes hear people say, well, I don't go on dates, or I don't know what to do. It costs so much. And so we really want to help with those ideas. So please share those with Nemia so we can get that out to you guys. And we're going to see you here, the same place, same time, but 2 hours now, okay? From 2 to 4 here at He Said, She Said with Wanda B and Yatu Nemia on IntellectualRadio.com. See you next week.
Peace.
I'm your ice cream.